8 sub O, mu1 minus mu2 equals 0, which implies that if mu1 minus mu2 is equal to 0, then mu1 equals mu2. In other words, there is no significant difference between the two means. If mu1 would represent the male achievement score, mu2 would represent the female achievement score, then we say in the null hypothesis there is no difference between the two math achievement scores of the males and the females, then mu1 mu2 equal mu1 is just equal to mu2. The alternative hypothesis could either be one of those. It could be greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, it means that mu1 is greater than mu2. Or mu1 minus mu2 is less than 0, it implies that mu1 is less than mu2. Or for a two-tailed test, mu1 is not equal to mu2. When it is mu1 minus mu2 is not equal to 0, it implies that mu1 is not equal to mu2. So the test statistic we will use is z is equal to x bar 1 minus x bar 2 over s1 squared over n1 plus s2 squared over n2. What is x bar 1? The mean of the first sample. X bar 2, the mean of the second sample. S1 squared, the variance. The variance is just simply the standard deviation squared. X bar 2, the S2 squared, rather, is the variance of the second sample. N1 is the sample size of the first, N2 is the sample size of the second. And then, rejection area region, we reject the null when, for a one-tailed test, if the computed test statistic is greater than the critical value, which is positive. For a left-tailed test, we compare the test statistic with the critical value. When the test statistic is less than the critical value, we reject the null. For a two-tailed test, when the computed test statistic is in between the two critical values, the one on the left or the one on the right. When we are using the p-value approach, when the p-value is less than alpha, then we reject the null. Okay? So it's very similar to the one sample thesis, except that this one we are comparing two means. Okay? In the first inferences we did, we are comparing a mean, a sample mean, to a hypothesized mean. This time we are comparing two means. Okay? So let's look at the first example. So I want you to prepare your later in a paper beside you so you can start working on this one. So slide number 6. To determine whether car ownership affects a student's academic performance, two random samples of 100 male students were each drawn from the student body. The grade point average for the N1 for the first group of males is 100. Non-owners of cars had an average and variance equal to 2.7 and a variance of 0.36, while the mean of the second group of males, 2.54, the variance 0.4 for the car owners. So we are now comparing the difference in the mean achievement, okay? Academic achievement between car owners and non-car owners. Test using alpha. So let's look at the how to do it. Okay, so first one, we need to state our null hypothesis. So first, we need to define what is mu1. Mu1 usually is the one first stated in the problem. So for this case, let mu1 represents the average achievement score for non car owners, non-owners of car. Let mu2 represent the average achievement score for car owners. So mu1 is for non-car owners, mu2 is for car owners. So write your formula. Copy the formula in slide number 6. Z is equal to x bar 1 minus x bar 2 over the square root of s1 squared over n1 plus s2 squared over n2. And beside that, you write the substitution values. Can you do that now?
Yes, pa.
So in the problem, it says we are just indicating a difference. So that means this is a two-tailed test. Get your calculator. And plug it into your formula. The values. So straightforward. Very straightforward. You just simply fill in your equation. So what do you have there? 2.7 minus 2.54 over the square root of 0.36. You don't square that anymore because it's already a variance. If the given is standard deviation, you need to square that. But since these are already variances given, you just, this should be your working equation.
Sir, 1.84.
So the answer is 1.84. You are right. Okay. So it says in the problem, test alpha equals 0.05. If you recall, ano yung critical value doon sa 0.05 two-tailed?
1.96 ba yun, sir?
Plus or minus. Two-tailed ito, sir. Two-tailed. Kaya dalawa ang value natin. So you have there, i-divide natin yung 0.05 sa dalawa, sa kaliwang bahagi, 0.025, sa kanang bahagi, 0.025. I-compare natin ang computed value natin. So, ang decision natin ay 184. I-compare natin sa 196. Nasaan ang 184? Nasa loob.
Sa loob po.
Tama? So, ang decision will be do not reject or accept the null hypothesis at the 0.05 level. Do not reject HO at alpha equals 0.05 or accept HO at 0.05. And conclusion, just answer the problem in the context. Meron, kukopyahin nyo lang yung nandoon sa problem. The data did not present sufficient evidence to indicate a difference in the mean achievement between car owners and non-car owners. Kopyahin nyo lang yung problem, tanggalin yung word na do, sabihin nyo lang, the data did not present. Exactly. Okay, kopyahin yun. Yung problem. Pakisulat yan sa inyong notebook. Okay na? Naisulat na?
Tapos na po, sir. Tapos lang.
Okay, let's next take the next example. Ang solution pala nasa slide number 8. Kung hindi nyo naisulat. Doon. Right, let's look at example number 2. Analysis of drinking water samples for 100 homes in each of the 2 different sections of a city gave the following means and standard deviations of lead levels in parts per million. So you have given a table in section 1 of the city and section 2 of the city. 100 water samples were taken from each. The mean lead levels, the average lead levels of water is 34.1 parts per million in section 1 with a standard deviation of 5.9. In section 2, the average lead levels is 36.0 with a standard deviation of 6.0. Calculate the test statistic, compare the test statistics with the critical value to test for the difference. Again, this is again a two-tailed test for the difference in the mean lead levels. Use a 95% confidence interval. So when we speak of the word confidence interval, we're talking about alpha of 0.05. So 0.05 alpha is equivalent to a 95% confidence interval, meaning we are confident that the hypothesis is correct. So like what we did earlier, ganun din ang gagawin ninyo doon sa ginawa kanina. Isulat muna ang HO, mu1 minus mu2 equals 0. Alternate hypothesis, mu1 minus mu2 is not equal to 0. Okay, so the null hypothesis is mu1 equals mu2. The alternate hypothesis, mu1 is not equal to mu2. The test statistic, x bar 1 minus x bar 2 over square root of S1 squared over N1 plus S2 squared over N2. So, isusubstitute natin yung values. So, dito ang definition natin. Section 1 will represent mu1, the mean, which is 34.1. The mean of mu2 is 36.0 over the square root of. So, standard deviation ang binigay, kaya dapat ito ay i-square. Ipasok sa calculator. And you should get your answers. Nandiyan ba si Ruel? Ruel, are you there? Hello? Hello? Ano sumasagot?
Wala po, sir.
Tulog na yata ang mga tao dito. Ano ba yan? Mga nakalag-in lang pero wala dito?
Hindi po.
Wala ako nakikita kahit isa. Lahat naka-off ang camera. Camera is turned on. Ano nangyayari?
Yan, sir.
Ang si Rain pa lang. Bakit ayaw niyang i-on agad ang camera from the start?
Yung Z.
Tatlo pa lang, apat. Ano ba yan? Kailangan pang sabihan araw-araw, every meeting. Shedick John, John Mark, Earl Dom, Hazel, Ann, Nick, Manuel, Peter Cedric, Neil Andrew, Miguel Franco, Maureen Kate, Reem. Dapat isa-isahin ko pa kayo bago kayo mag-on. Anong sagot?
Negative 0.26.
Mali. Negative 3.21.
3.20.
Pasok mo uli.
Sir, sa akin din po, negative 2.26 po lumabas.
Sigurado yan?
Sa amin
Opo.
din, sir. Tama naman.
Sa akin din po, sir.
Opo, sir.
Sa amin din po, negative 2.26.
34.1 minus 36 over square root of 5.9 squared over 100 plus 6 squared over 100. Oh, mali ako. Dapat negative 2.258. Negative 2.258. Paki-check, paki-correct yung inyong ano. Saan ko ba nakuha yan? So, 2.258 dapat. So, negative 2.258. Tama na?
Tama po.
Tama na po.
So, since 0.05 ang alpha plus or minus 1.96 ang ating critical values, ang negative 2.258 is less than negative 1.96. Therefore, reject the null at the 0.05 level. Reject the null. And our conclusion will be, the data provided sufficient evidence to indicate a difference in the average lead levels of for the two sections of the city. The average lead level, wala na yung off dapat. Okay na? So, ganun dapat yung ating conclusion. The data provided sufficient evidence to indicate a difference in the average lead levels of water, the average difference in the average lead levels for the two sections of the city. Naintindihan, Peter Cedric Castillo, John Marquillat.
Opo, sir.
Ang galaw ng yung camera. Para kang nagchat-chat. Okay na? Next, let's look at, I think there is another example there, example number 3. Okay. Independent random samples, by the way, 80 measurements drawn from a quantitative population 1 and 2. Here is a summary of the sample data. So again, you have a table there. Sample size is 80. Sample size of the second sample size is 80 also. By the way, let me remind you that yung ating formula na z is equal to x bar 1 minus x bar 2 will also work even if the sample sizes are different. Hindi lang yan para sa equal ang sample size. Kunwari, ang unang sample ay 80, ang pangalawang sample ay 100, mag-work pa rin ba yung formula? Yes. Do you understand? Nagkataon lang itong mga examples na binigay ko ay puro equal ang sample sizes. But it will still work even if the sample sizes are different. Not equal yung mga n. Right? So if your research objective is to show that mu1 is larger than mu2, what will be HO? John Francis. If your research objective is to show that mu1 is larger than mu2, what will be the null hypothesis? Say it.
Equal 0, sir.
Equal 0.
Ay, greater than pala, sir. Greater than.
Hindi. Kompleto yun. H sub O. Jan Francis, say it.
Sir, yung ano po ba? Null hypothesis po, sir.
Yeah. Di mo ba naririnig?
H sub O is equals to...
Anong is equals to? Sa mga natutunang English yung is equals to. Bawal yan. It's double murder. Equals to. Is equals to. Is equal to. Pag may is, equal. Pag wala, equals to. Ay, parang hindi ka nag-English. So the null hypothesis is equal to
mu sub 1 minus mu sub 2 is greater than 0.
okay, mu1 minus mu2 is greater than 0. What's another way of saying it? Anong ibang way ng pagsabi niya? Mu1 is greater than mu2. Ay nako, Mr. John Francis. Alternative hypothesis. John Mark Kia.
mu1 minus mu2 is equals to 0. Is equals to 0.
Wala, hindi ka nakikinig, sir. Hazeline. Mali yung sinabi ni John Mark. Ang liwaliwanag na nga sa A eh. Oh, Hazeline, ano ang alternative hypothesis?
mu1 minus mu2 is greater than 0.
Correct. Say it in another term. Say it in another way.
mu1 is greater than mu2 po.
Correct. Narinig mo, John Mark Skiat? Letter B, is the test in part A a one-tailed or two-tailed? One-tailed or two-tailed? John Mark Austria.
One-tailed po.
Ano? Ha? May isa ata dito. Pasok ko na lang. One-tailed. Dali ah. Ito, dalawa na. Ay, mali. Diyos ko po. Mali ko. So, ang alternative hypothesis dapat doon ay mu1 minus mu2 is greater than 0 or mu1 is greater than mu2 at yan ay one-tailed test. Letter C, calculate the test statistics. So, gumamit ng formula, ipasok yung values. You have 11.6 minus 9.7 over the square root of 27.9 over 80 plus 38.4 over 80. Hindi na i-square kasi variance na yung binigay. Kung standard na binigay, i-square pa siya. Compute. I-edit nyo lang yung inyong ano kanina, napapalitan, na-i-edit naman yun, di ba? Kung may naipasok na kayo sa calculator nyo, you can edit it.
2.09 po.
So, 2.087. Tatlong decimal places tayo, ha?
Okay po.
Everybody got that? 2.087.
Yes po.
Parang mali yung aking nakalagay sa ano. Ano ba nakalagay? 3.27.9. Tama pala. Ang mali pala yung una. 27.9 dapat yun, hindi 2.9. 27.9 over 38.4. Okay? So, 2.087. Again, kung alpha natin ay parang mali ang aking diagram. Mali nga. So, dapat yan ay nasa kanan lang. So, mali yung values. Paki-delete nyo yung ano, normal curve doon. That's wrong. That's for two-tailed. Okay, dapat one-tailed. Nasa kanan lang. Ano ang ating critical value yung gagamitin? Kasi kanan lang ito dapat. Ano ang critical value yung gagamitin? Pag kanan lang, alpha is 1.05.
1.645. Yan.
Okay. 1.645 ang critical value. So, i-compare natin ang 2.087 versus 1.645. So, nasaan ang 2.087 compared to 1.645 in the normal curve? Nasa right.
Opo.
Ang 2.087 ay greater than 1.645. So, ang ating decision ay reject the null at the 0.05 level. And conclude that the data provided sufficient evidence to indicate that mean 1 is higher than mean 2. Francis Albert Gasmin. Bakit? Sarado yung camera mo. Nandiyan ka pa ba, Francis Albert? Hindi kita nakikita. Last week, kailan ba nag-message sa akin si Ruel Ulete, mga paki-message nga si Ruel sa GC. Tanungin kung bakit wala siya, parati siyang wala. Andiyan siya. Ano sabi? Kasi nag-message siya sa akin na sabi hindi daw ako naka-on pa na daw yung yung meeting. Hindi ako nakapag-leave mga 2 days after na. Kaya hinahanap ko lang siya. Ruel Ulete. Ay, wala. 2-2 ito. Okay na? Hindi pa siya nag-respond. Alright. Now, when we do a test of hypothesis involving the difference between two independent means, we are also doing confidence interval. It's the same as stating confidence interval. Ano ba yung confidence interval? It is a range of values. We call the lower bound and the upper bound. Okay? Kung saan yung ating mean difference ay nasa in between. Ay, mali. Sorry. Ganito siya. 95 for the difference is that pag dalawang means ang pinag-uusapan, ganito ang paggawa ng confidence interval. Pag one sample lang ang pinag-uusapan natin na 95% confidence interval equals 1.96 or x bar plus or minus 1.96 times s over square root of n. Yan yung last week natin kinuha. Pag difference between the two samples, your 95% confidence interval equals x bar 1 minus x bar 2 plus or minus 1.96 times the square root of s1 squared over n1 plus s2 squared over n2 Yan, ano nangyari na wala? Ayun, in-upload na ni Rain. Okay? Yan for 95. So parehas lang ang formula for 90, 98, 99. Nagbabago lang yung Z. So kung ano yung critical value, kaya kung sinabi ko ay if we want to construct a 99% confidence interval, it should be x bar 1 minus x bar 2 plus or minus 2.5. Ano nga yung value ng 0.01? 2.58 or 2.576?
0.087 po yung kanina, sir.
Hindi Ang value ng 99, ang 0.01, anong critical value? Tingnan sa table.
Two-tailed ba, sir? O yung one-tailed lang?
Two-tailed.
Two-tailed.
Difference
Okay.
Positive,
Pag
negative, 2.576.
2.576. Pag 90%, anong value?
Positive, negative 1.645 po.
Yun ang gagamitin. So para tayo maka-create ng confidence interval, ayan ang mga gagamitin. Nasaan na ba siya? Ano? Ito yan ang kumpleto. Kasi pare-parehas yung formula except ang nagbago lang ay yung Z. Pag 95% or pag ang alpha ay 0.05, 1.96 plus minus. Pag ang ating alpha ay 0.01, 99% ang equivalent, ang gagamitin 2.576. Pag ang alpha ay 0.10, ang gagamitin ay confidence interval ay 90, ang ginagamit 1.645. So pag ginamit natin yung formula yan, magkakaroon tayo ng ganito. Lower bound less than or equal to ganito ang lalabas. Ganyan ang magiging result. Dalawang values, kaliwa, ang tawag natin ay lower bound. Yung ating difference nasa gitna, ang nasa kanan, upper bound. So, dalawang set of values yan, dalawang range. It's a range of values, left and right. The left part is called the lower bound. The right part is equal to upper bound. So, makikita natin yan later sa SPSS. Okay? So, what does it mean when we say, ano ba ang ibig sabihin when we say, bakit, ano yung ipo? That you dapat pala yun. You are 90, bakit 9 lang yun? 95. So, pag sinabi nating 95% confidence, mali ang aking edit na lang. What does it mean to say that you are 95% confident that the true value of the population mean mu is within a given interval? So, ibig sabihin nun, if you were to construct 20 intervals using a different sample observation, you might expect that 95% of the 20, or say 19 out of 20, will perform as planned and contain mu within their upper and lower bounds. So yung value of alpha, yung value not bale. So the value of alpha indicated by the confidence coefficient in the confidence interval is equivalent to the significance level alpha in the statistical test. Tayo ba nagkaintindihan? Ibig sabihin lang noon, pag sinabi natin 95% confidence interval, we are 95% confident that the true value of the difference between the two means is within the level, the lower bound and the upper bound. Nasa loob. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, pag nag-resample tayo, nag-sampling distribution ulit tayo, kukuha ulit tayo, let's say, 100 ang kinuha natin sa isang population, nakuha natin ito, ang difference ng mean nila ay ito. Kukuha ulit tayo ng another set of 100 from the same population, i-expect natin na kung 95% confident tayo, then that means 95 out of the 100 will have the same mean. Yung mean niya dapat ay nandoon sa 95 out of 100. Lima lang, ilan lang? 5 ang hindi. Wala doon sa loob. So, yun ang ibig sabihin ng confidence interval na yun. Okay? So, pag confidence interval approach ang ginagamit natin para ma-determine natin kung may difference or kung greater than or less than, pag nag-construct tayo ng confidence interval, pag yung ating mu or yung difference between mu1 and mu2 ay nasa loob, okay, within the specified lower bounds and upper bounds, then that means the null hypothesis is accepted. Pag ang hypothesized value lies outside the confidence limits, nasa labas, then that means we reject the null. In other words, pag ang 0 ay nasa loob ng lower bound and upper bound, accept the null. Pag ang 0 ay hindi part of that interval, reject the null. We will do that later. Okay? So here, tingnan nyo ito. An experiment was planned to compare the mean time required to recover from common colds for a person given a daily dose of 4 milligrams of vitamin C versus those who were not given a vitamin supplement. Suppose that 35 adults were randomly selected for each, bakit yung isa ay 36? Dapat parehong 35, sorry. 35 din yan. Okay, for each treatment category in that the mean recovery times and standard deviation for the two groups were as follows. Suppose your research objective is to show that the use of vitamin C reduces, the word reduces the mean time required to recover from a common cold, and each complications. Given that the null and alternative hypothesis for the test is this one-tailed or two-tailed. So, do you have for this? One-tailed ba ito or two-tailed? Ha?
One-tailed.
Bakit?
Inaalam po kung yung mu1 is mas effective po na may vitamins kaysa wala. Ganun po.
Tingnan ninyo yung research objective. Ano ba ang sabi doon? Suppose your research objective is to show that the use of vitamin C reduces so if we let mu1 as the mean recovery times for those without vitamins. Mu2 is the mean recovery time, the average recovery time for those with vitamins. How do we state our hypothesis?
Alternative po ba, sir?
Null hypothesis.
Mu1 is less than mu2 po.
No, null hypothesis.
Is equal to mu2 po.
At ang alternative hypothesis ay?
Mu1 is less than mu2.
Correct. Less than. Kasi reduces, ibig sabihin, less than ba? Mali ata. Kung ang pinag-uusapan natin ang mu1 ay recovery time ng walang vitamins at ang mu2 ay recovery times ng may vitamins, less than or greater than dapat?
Greater than po.
Dapat greater, sir, hindi less than. Kung ang recovery time dapat, ang sabi kasi dito ay vitamin C reduces the mean time required to recover from a common colds. So kung ang mu1 ay yung average recovery time ng walang vitamins at yung mu2 ang average recovery time ng may vitamins, mas maigsi ang recovery time pag may vitamins kaysa sa walang vitamins. Kaya dapat mu1 minus mu2 is greater than 0 or mu1 is greater than mu2. Naintindihan? Ganito dapat yun, no?
Yes, sir.
Kaya dapat iintindihin yung mabuti ang problem according to the context. Reduces. The word reduces means less than. Kaya lang, ang pinag-uusapan natin ay recovery time. So that means, pag ang mu1 ay walang vitamins, ang mu2 may vitamins, pag may vitamins, mas maigsi ang recovery time. Ang mu1 walang vitamins, mas mahaba ang recovery time. So in terms of mu1, mu2, mu1 minus mu2 must be greater than 0. Rain.
Screenshot ko po ba? Sinusulat po namin.
Sinusulat, okay. Sige. Right, so, gaya ng ginawa natin kanina, i-compute natin yung z, x bar 1 minus x bar 2 over square root of s1 squared over n1 plus s2 squared over n2. Pag plinag-in natin ang values, magiging 6.9 minus 6.8 over 2.9 square over 35 plus 1.2 squared over 35 so we have 6.9 minus 6.8 over square root of 2.9 square over 35 plus 1.2 squared over 35 din. Mali pala ang aking given, mga kapatid. Pakipalitan. Nagkamali ako ng type. 5.8 dapat yun, hindi 9.8. Kaya pala ang answer ay can you change that? Instead of 6.8, it's 5.8.
Yes, sir. Na-change po.
Gawing 5.8 yung with 4 milligrams of vitamin. Ang magiging sagot ay 2.074.
Opo.
You get that?
Parehas po. Yay.
Nakuha lahat? Nakuha ng lahat? 2.074. So, one-tailed ito. Kaya ang ating decision ay what? So, anong gagamitin natin? Pag ang alpha ay 0.01 ang alpha, one-tailed.
2.326 po.
So, 2.3.
26.
Are you sure? Ano ba ang sabi? Hindi pala 0.01. 0.05, sorry. Mali. Kasi ating gabi ko siya ginawa. So, alpha is 0.05. Dapat ang gagamitin natin ay 1.645. Tama ba? 0.05.
Tama po.
1.645. Palitan yung 0.01 ng 0.05. So, ang ating sagot dito dapat ang decision ay reject HO at alpha equals 0.05. Tapos, ang conclusion natin ay okay. The data provided sufficient evidence to indicate that the use of vitamins will shorten recovery times. Or the data provided sufficient evidence to indicate that the use of vitamin C reduces the mean time required to recover from a common cold and its complications. The data provided sufficient evidence to show that the use of vitamin C reduces the mean time required to recover from common colds. Okay? Right. Kunwari tayo ay gagawa ng 95% confidence interval from this problem. Following the formula, ang gagamitin natin is yung difference ng x bar 1 minus x bar 2 plus or minus 1.645 times the square root of S1 squared over N1 plus S2 squared over N2. Ganito ang lalabas niyan. 6.9 minus 5.8 plus or minus 1.645 square root of 2.9 squared over 35 plus 1.2 squared over 35. Ganito ang confidence interval niya. Thank you, Rain. Wala pa bang respond kay Ruel?
Wala pa po.
Anong nangyari sa kanya? nung December 3 at 3:27, nag-message siya sa akin, Sir, hindi niyo po ata na-end meeting yung sa MS Team po 2-2, December 3. So last week ito. Nag-message siya. So ano ang lumabas? Ano sagot? Wala pa?
Sir, sa ano po, sa
Yung lower bound.
yung lower bound po ba yung minus?
Yung yes, sir.
0.227 po.
Dali, tingnan ko ha. (1.2 square over 35). Parang magkaiba tayo ng sa kaliwa. Minus. Bakit iba ang sagot ko? 6.9 minus 5.8 minus 1.645 times the square root of 2.9 squared over 35 plus 1.2 squared over 35. Ang sagot ko ay 0.2273. At ang nasa kanan ay 1.9727.
973 po.
973, 1.973. Yung nasa kaliwa, 0.227.
Opo, sir.
Pareho po, sir.
0.227.
Yun. Ito.
Okay.
So, iyan yung 95% confidence. Ibig sabihin, pag nag-sample ulit tayo ng 35, dalawang groups of 35 from the same population kung saan ito galing, kukuha ulit ako ng isang group ng 35, kukuha rin ako ng isang group ng 35, we would expect na ang kanyang difference sa kanilang average recovery time ay nasa pagitan ng 0.2273 at saka 1.97, yung difference ng dalawa. As of now, ano ba ang difference noong nila? 6.9 minus 5.8. Ang difference nila ay 1.1. 1.1. So, ang ibig sabihin ng 95% confidence interval ay 95% confident tayo na pag kumuha tayo ng dalawang grupo ng 35 from the same population kung saan natin kinuha itong data na to, i-expect natin na yung difference ng kanilang mean recovery times ay nasa pagitan ng 0.2273 at 1.97. Nandun sa pagitan na yun. Yun ang i-expect natin with 95% degree of certainty tayo. Okay? So, this time, dapat nakuha nyo na yon yung paggawa ng using the formula. Na problem set, merong nagawa ko na yon, i-upload ko na lang when the time, maybe next week, pagkatapos na natin lahat yung inferences. Ang gagawin natin ngayon ay SPSS. Paano ginagawa ito using SPSS? So yung una nating ginawa ay using formula. So bali manual calculation siya. If you open now your SPSS, paki-open ang inyong SPSS, mga kapatid. Naka-open na?
Opo, sir.
Right. I-open din yung NELS dataset. NELS dataset. Naka-open na. Sandry. Sandray. Sandray ba yan o Sandray? Sandray. Hindi kita nakikita. Naka-on ang camera mo, Mr. Sandray Quinto? Hindi.
Sandali lang po, sir.
Right. Pag naka-open na yung NELS dataset, next slide tayo. Slide number 16. Ito ang gagawin natin. So number 1, is there a difference in the 12th grade math achievement scores of males and females in the NELS dataset? Naintindihan niyo yung problem? Rim. Manglanlan. Manglalyan. Manglalyan. Are you there? Rim. Ano ba to? Babae, lalaki. Rim. Nandyan ba yung rim na yan? Rain, nakikita mo ba yung rim? Hindi.
Hindi.
Rim Manglanlan, are you there?
Andito po, sir.
Ayun.
Bakit ayaw mag-on ng camera? Nick Manuel.
Sir,
Nick Manuel Torrijos.
Ano po, sir?
Ha?
Ano po, sir?
Ay, siya. Kung hindi ko pa, hindi ka hindi kita nakikita. Miguel Franco, nandiyan ka ba? Oh, yan, nandiyan siya. Maureen, Kate Beato. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Medyo mabagal po kasi yung internet po namin dito, sir.
John Mark Derla. Mga John Mark. Isa lang ang nakikita ko eh. Tatlo kayo. Si Austria lang ang nakabukas. John Mark Kiat. John Mark Derla. John Cedrix. O, nandyan siya. Hazel Lynn Ramos. Francis Albert Gasmen. Nasaan niyang Albert Gasmen? Earl Dan Villapando. Cedric John Cardenas. Aliyah Joy Hunyo. Ay, naku, mga batang ito. Right. So, tingin tayo doon sa slide number 16 sa PowerPoint. Ang ating research question for number 1, is there a difference in the 12th grade math achievement scores of males and females in the NELS dataset? Ano ang variables of interest? Nick Manueli Torrijos. Sa problem na yon. Ano ang variables of interest?
Yung grade, yung 12th grade math achievement.
Ha?
Yung 12 grade math achievement scores tsaka yung male and females po.
So, ang ating kino-compare dito ay yung 12th grade math achievement ng males versus the 12th achievement ng females. Right. Base doon sa problem or sa objective, one-tailed or two-tailed ba itong test?
Two-tailed po.
Two-tailed. Bakit? Two-tailed.
Dahil po dun sa word na difference.
Correct. Okay, so two-tailed siya. So, paano natin i-state ang null hypothesis? John Cedrics. Ano ang null hypothesis natin for number 1? H sub O.
H sub O mu1 minus mu2 is equals to 0.
Ang alternate. John Cedrics. Ano ang alternative hypothesis?
Mu1 minus mu2 is not equal to 0.
So, paano natin siya i-define? Ang mu1 natin ay ano? Ano ang magiging mu1?
Yung sa ano po, yung scores po ng male.
Okay, the 12th grade math achievement score of males. Ang mu2 natin is the average 12th grade math achievement of females. Ganun dapat ang definition ng mu1, mu2 natin. Okay. Paano gagawin sa SPSS? Ililipat ko lang yung mouse ko. Alright. So, everybody, nasa Nels dataset tayo. Okay. Analyze. Compare. Means. Nababasa niyo yung independent samples t-test. Ha?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes po, sir.
Opo, sir.
Ba't walang nasagot? So, anong ilalagay nating test variable? Ano ang test variable na ilalagay natin?
Math achievement on ano?
Math achievement ng ano?
12
Maraming
grade.
math achievements dyan. 12th
12
grade. May nababasa kayo sa baba. Ilagay yung ating grouping variable. Ano ang grouping variable dito?
Gender, sir.
Gender. So, punta tayo doon sa gender. At ipasok doon. Makita ninyo, gender, tapos naka-parenthesis, tapos question mark, question mark.
Yes po.
Define the groups. Paano dinefine sa data na ito ang males? Paano dinefine ang males? Ay siya. Nakuha na natin yan ng mga nakaraang meetings eh. Sa Nels dataset, paano dinefine ang males? Hello?
Sir.
Ay siya. 0. Ang female, 1. Ano ba kayo? Kayo nakakatanda. Ay siya. Ipapasok nyo lang doon sa defined groups. Group 1, 0. Group 2, 1. Ano ang 0? Males. Ang 1, females. And click OK. Okay na? Dalawang tables ang output. Parehas ba tayo? Dalawang tables ang inyong output. Nakikita niyo ang aking screen? Hello?
Nakikita po.
Yes po.
Ano ang
Dito
nakikita niyo?
group statistics. Yung
SPSS output. Parehas tayo ng lumabas.
parehas po.
Opo, sir.
So,
Parehas po.
in the NELS dataset, the math achievements in 12th grade, there are 227 males. Ang average math achievement nila ay 58.6333 with a standard deviation 0.42705. Ang female, ang kanilang sample size ay 273. Ang average math achievement ay 55.4709. Numerically, mas mataas ang math achievement ng males kaysa sa females. Numerically. Okay? Right. Yung pangalawang output, yun, makikita. So, kanina, sa simula, sinabi ko na ano mga assumptions ng ano ang mga assumptions, okay? Ng paggamit ng independent t-test or z-test, whatever. Kailangan, ang unang sabi, equal dapat ang variances. Pangalawa, normal ang distribution. So sa table na pangalawa, alin ang magsasabi na ang distribution ay normal? The Leven's test for equality of variance. Nakikita niyo yung Leven's test. May nabasa kayong Leven's test? Ano tong Leven's test na ito? Ito ang magsasabi na sa atin kung equal ang variances or hindi equal ang variances ng dalawang achievement scores nung male at nung female. Nakita niyo yung F value niya, 0.543. Okay? So, paano ini-interpret yan? Pag ang SIG ng Leven's test of homogeneity equal variance, equality of variance. Okay? Ito ang rule. Ang null hypothesis natin diyan ay the variances are equal So, yung F value ninyo ay 0.543 at ang significance value ay 0.462. Yung significance value ng Leven's test ay greater than alpha. Okay? So, pag greater than alpha, ano ang ibig sabihin? Sandali independent sample t-test. Right. So pag ang p-value ng Leven's test ay greater than alpha, we conclude that the population variances are not different. Remember? 'Di ba pagka ang p-value is greater than alpha, ito siya. Ito ang rule. Rain.
Sige sir, wait lang po. Yan, baba, yan.
Nakita mo?
Yan po. Wait lang. Isa pa. Labo. Ayan.
Okay na?
Okay na po.
Right. Makinig na mabuti ha. Doon sa Leibniz test, alin yung Leibniz test? Yung unang dalawang columns doon sa pangalawang table. Yung F value niya is 0.543. Yung significance value, which is the P value, is 0.462. So ang rule, pag ang P value ay greater than alpha, we accept the null. Ibig sabihin, the variances are equal. Bakit kailangan maganon? Kasi yung t-test, dalawa ang values. Yung 4.553 at 4.583. Alin ang pipiliin sa dalawa? Depende sa result ng Leibniz test. So for this problem, since the p-value is 0.462, which is greater than 0.05, we assume that the variances are equal. So equal variances assume. So ang pipiliin natin na TI for, nakikita niyo yung arrow ko? Yung arrow? Yung cursor? Nakikita niyo? Hindi.
Kita po.
Ayan, ito. Kung saan nakapoint ngayon, yan ang kukunin. Pag nag-report tayo ng output, the t-value equals 4.553, ang p-value niya ay less than 0.0005. Less than 0.0005, which means that it's less than alpha. So, reject the null. Because the p-value is less than 0.0005, reject the null. Okay, at the 0.05 level. What do we conclude? Ang conclusion natin in the context of the problem, the data provided sufficient evidence to indicate a difference in the 12th grade math achievement scores of males and females. Nakuha nyo ba? Susulat ko ha. Mu1 minus mu2 equals 0. Alternate hypothesis, mu1 minus mu2 is not equal to 0. So, ang test statistic natin, ang value ay 4.553. Ang p-value ay less than 0.0005. Ang decision natin ay reject the null at alpha equals 0.05 at conclude in the context of the problem, the data provided sufficient evidence indicate a difference in the 12th grade math achievement scores of males and females. Ito Rain.
Opo, sir. Hintayin ko lang medyo malabo. Mag-focus.
Liwanag na.
Yan, okay na po.
Na-screenshot mo na?
Opo.
Ayan na. Thank you, sir. Ayan, nandyan sa chat group. Okay? yung sagot sa number 1. So, ang null hypothesis natin, mu1 minus mu2 equals 0. Ang alternate, mu1 minus mu2 is not equal to 0. And then, ang t-value yung kinuha natin ay yung 4.553 at ang p-value ay less than 0.005, which is less than 0.05. So, decision natin ay reject the null at 0.05 level and conclude that the data provided sufficient evidence to indicate a difference in the 12th grade math achievement scores of males and females. So if we look at the output, ano ang difference? In the context of the problem, the males had a higher 12th grade math achievement. The 12th grade math achievement of males, the average math achievement in the 12th grade of males is higher than the math achievement in the 12th grade for females. Alright? Yung mean difference nila ay 3.1624. Ibig sabihin, mas mataas ng 3.16234 yung average ng male kaysa sa female. Now, look at the last 2 columns in the table. Nakita niyo doon? 95% confidence interval of the difference. 95% confidence interval. Ibig sabihin, pag kumuha ulit tayo ng another group of 227 males and another group of 273 males from the 500, okay, or from the general population, we would expect that the difference in their mean achievement, math achievement score will lie between 1.79769 and 4.52700. Yung difference niya, di ba, ay 3.16234? Nakita niyo yan? Yung mean difference ay 3. Nasa pagitan ba yan ng 1.79 at saka 4.5?
Yes po.
So, reject the null. Ganito, kahit hindi tayo mag-t-test, by just looking at the confidence interval, pwede rin tayo mag-decide ng hypothesis. Pag ang 0 ay nasa pagitan, if you can find 0 in between the lower bound and the upper bound, then ibig sabihin, accept the null. Pag ang 0 ay wala sa pagitan ng lower bound at upper bound, reject the null. So if you look at 1.79769 at 4.52700, is 0 in between the two values? No. Di ba? Wala. Ang 0 ay wala, hindi makikita sa pagitan ng dalawang yan. So, reject the null. Which is the same as what we did, the conclusion, pag tayo ay gumamit ng t-test. Question. Naintindihan? Hello?
Yes po.
Right. Question. Walang tanong? Punta tayo sa pangalawa. So sa pangalawa, does the population of college-bound males from the South who have always been at grade level differed from the corresponding population of females in terms of the number of years of math in high school? Right. Yung bang mga lalaki sa South, ang kanila bang ano yan, number of years of math in high school ay iba doon sa number of math taken in high school ng mga babae from the same, okay, in the corresponding population. So that means parehong from the South. Kita nyo?
Opo, sir, nakita po.
Okay. So, naituro ko na sa inyo pagka meron tayong condition na gano'n. Ano ang condition daw?
South po.
Okay, dapat from the south. Okay? So, anong gagawin natin?
Data.
So, punta tayo sa data. Select cases. Dapat ano ipapasok na variable?
Geographic region ba?
Ano ang value?
3 po.
3, correct. Yung gender, papalitan ba natin? Ipapasok din ba natin yung gender?
Hindi po.
Hindi, kasi parehas. Male and female parehas. So, south lang. Yung region lang. Right. So, pupunta tayo ngayon sa insert. Okay. Insert. Analyze, sorry. Compare means independent samples t-test. So, iba ang variable nating ipapasok. Ano ang variable na ipapasok?
Ano nga ulit?
Numbers of years in math of high school.
Number of years. Anong ang variable yon? Paano dinefine? Sa NELS dataset, paano dinefine yung number of years of math taken in high school? Nakikita niyo yung screen ko? Can you see my screen?
Yes po.
Oh,
Yes,
bakit
po.
hindi niyo masagot yung tinatanong ko? Ay ano, naka-highlight na?
Ayun. Units in math.
Mariusep.
Nasa ano din kami sir, SPSS din po. Kaya naghahanap din.
Ay, nakikita niyo naman yung screen ko eh. Di, dapat sundin niyo na lang. Right. Ang ating grouping variable, gender, di ba? Male and female. Kaya
Yes.
parehas pa rin yung grouping variable. 0 and 1. Click OK. Ayan, nakita nyo? So, ilan ang lalaki sa South?
66 po.
66 po.
56
Ilan ang babae? 84.
84.
84.
Sino ang mas mataas ang number of units of math taken in high school?
Male po.
Males, 3.9 versus 3.6. 3.917 versus 3.664. Okay? Right. Looking at the Leven's test for equality of variance, ang value ng ating P, ang P-value ng Leven's test is 0.29294. What does that mean?
Accept HO po.
Na ano? Anong HO natin dyan? Ang variances ay
Equal.
equal. Ito, ayan.
Yes po, tama.
Ayan, ayan.
Yes.
Equal ang variances. Kasi ang p-value doon sa Leven's test ay 0.294. So that means ang kukunin nating value ay ng t ay 2.107. Yung una, nasa taas. Equal variances assumed. At ang p-value niya ay 0.037. Ang 0.037 ba ay less than 0.05?
Yes po, less than.
Less than 0.05. So that means reject the null at the level of alpha of 0.05. Ano ang null hypothesis natin pala dito? Mu1 minus mu2 equals 0. Ano ang mu1? The average units of math taken by males from the south. Ang mu2 natin ay average units of math taken by females in the south. So, null hypothesis, mu1 minus mu2 equals 0. Alternate hypothesis, mu1 minus mu2 is not equal to 0. Not equal to 0. So, since ang t-value ay 2.107, ang p-value ay 0.037 and that is less than 0.05, the conclusion is reject the null at 0.05. Reject the null at the level of alpha of 0.05. Conclusion, the data provided sufficient evidence to indicate that the population of college-bound males from the South who have always been at grade level differed from the average units of maths of females. So in the context of the problem, the conclusion will be the data provided sufficient evidence to indicate that the average units of math taken by males from the South differs from the average number of units taken by females same population. May sulat? Ha? May sulat ba?
Hindi pa po. Isusulat pa lang.
Nick Manuel, magsulat ka. Hindi ka nagsusulat. Miguel Franco, nasulat na. Jan Francis Labore, hindi kita nakikita. Jan Mark Derla, naka-off na naman ang camera mo. Maureen Kate Beato, naka-off. Mark Ryan Calban, naka-off. Rimang Langlan, off. Erdan Villapando, off. Naisulat na, Nick.
Opo, sir.
Ikaw, John Francis Labore.
Sinusulat pa lang po, sir.
Tagal mo magsulat, sir. Mark Ryan Calban. Naisulat na? Parang nakahiga ka pa, Mark Ryan Calban. Ha?
Hindi po, sir. Cortina po yan, sir.
Kala ko bedsheet yan eh. Nakahiga ka. Tapos na magsulat. John Mark Austria. Sweetsika. Parang late ka, madam, nag-join. Kasi kaninang nagtatawag ako, wala ka pa. Kadyo-join mo lang?
Sir, naghahang po yung laptop ko po kasi. Nagdi-disconnect po.
Bakit?
Hindi po kayang magsabay ng ng mga applications po.
Oh, okay na? Okay na? Nasulat na?
Opo, sir, nasulat na.
Okay, number 3 na tayo. Among the population of college-bound students who have always been at grade level, do students whose families owned a computer in 8th grade score differently in 12th grade math achievement on average than those whose families did not own a computer? So ano ang variable of interest natin dyan, Mark? Austria. Ano ang variable of interest natin sa problem number 3?
Do students whose families own a computer in 8th grade
Hindi. Mali. Variable of interest. Ano ang variable of interest?
Yung Yung own po ng computer and did not own a computer po ba?
Ay, mali. Ano ang tinatanong ko? Variables of interest.
Yung grade 8 score po. 8 grade score, tsaka yung 12th grade.
Ay, Diyos ko. Pakibasa naman. Mabuti. Basahin mabuti ang problem at intindihin. Hindi naman kayo nagbabasa at nag-iintindi ng problem. Yung comprehension ay masyadong mababa. Rain, ikaw alam mo ano ang variable of interest natin sa problem number 3?
Ano po? College-bound students?
Hindi. Wala, pare-parehas kayo. Sino ang nakakaalam?
Anong kulay?
Sir, try po.
Ano daw ang kulay? Ang kulay ay pula. Nakalagay doon sa yung aking tinype, pula ang kulay na ginamit ko. Ang tinatanong ko ay variable. Anong variable ang pag-uusapan natin sa problem number 3?
Students who own computer po.
No. Sinabi na kanina.
Socioeconomic status po, sir.
Hindi. Ang variable of interest ay 12th grade math achievement. Yung math achievement ang variable. Ano ang grouping variable? Ano ang grouping?
Yung own na computer and did not own po.
Ang variable of interest natin ay ang 12th grade math achievement score. Ang grouping variable ay yung those who own a computer and those who did not own a computer. Ay, nako. Wala. Right, so punta ulit tayo sa data. Kailangan, since yung huling ginawa natin ay from the south, kailangan nating maibalik sa lahat ng cases. Anong gagawin? Kasi kung hindi nyo ibabalik yan doon, pag ginawa natin number 3, ang kukunin niya lang uli ay south. Ito, walang sinabi, walang condition. So, lahat. Okay? Kaya dapat, nakita niyo yung screen ko?
Opo, sir, kita.
Ayan. Dapat binalik ko dito yung ating highlight sa all cases. Click OK. Saka pa lang tayo pwede uling mag-analyze, compare means, independent samples. Ano ba ang pinag-uusapan dito? 12th grade at math achievement. So punta ulit tayo doon sa math achievement in the 12th grade. Ipapasok sa test variable. Ang grouping variable natin ay hindi gender, kundi ano? Computer ownership. Makita nyo? Nasa ilalim ng time spent.
Yes po.
Yun ang ipapasok doon. So, pero bago natin maipasok yan, dapat tanggalin muna natin si gender. Saka natin ipapasok si computer. Ano ba yun?
Okay.
Yan ang ipapasok sa grouping variable. Right. Paano dinefine ang owning a computer? Balikan nga natin yung data.
Ito po, sir. Yung 0 po,
Balikan natin ang data. Ay, mali. 0 at 1 ang ginamit?
Opo.
0 at 1 din ang ginamit. Ano ang 0?
No po.
No computer. 1 with computer. Yes. Click OK. Yan. Kita nyo?
Yes po.
Ilan ang walang computer nung 8th grade?
263 po.
263. Ilan ang may computer? 237 out of the 500. So ano ang average math achievement noong walang computer sa 8th grade? 55.596. Ano ang average math achievement ng 12th grade nung may computer? 58.3610. So numerically, mas mataas ang average math achievement nung may computer kaysa sa wala. Right. Looking at the Leibniz test for equality of variance, ang F-value ay 2.207, ang P-value ay 0.138. Ibig sabihin, equal pa rin ang variances nila. Equal ang variances. So, ang kukunin nating P-value ay negative 3.973. Yung una. At ang P-value niya ay less than 0.0005, which is less than alpha of 0.05. Conclusion, decision, reject the null at an alpha of 0.05, and conclude that in the context of the problem, the data provided sufficient evidence to indicate that among the population of college-bound students who always been at grade level, families who owned a computer in 8th grade score differently in the 12th grade math achievement on average than those whose families did not own a computer. So, pwedeng kopyahin yun. Tanggalin lang yung mga hindi kailangan. I repeat, the data provided sufficient evidence to indicate that among the population of college-bound students who have always been at grade level, families who owned a computer in the 8th grade scored differently in the 12th grade math achievement on average than those whose families did not own a computer. Sulat yun. Okay. Nasulat na? Naisulat na ba?
Hindi pa po. Sinusulat pa lang.
Nasagot.
Sinusulat pa lang, sir.
Okay na? Hindi pa rin. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Right. Wala na ito dyan, pero gagawa ko pa isa pang sample. Ito yung problem. Ita-type ko na lang, ha?
Okay.
Sandali lang, ha? I'll just... Ayan, lumabas na yung official result. Pinorward ko sa iyo.
Paano kami dito nagpa-cardio? Parang 7 days pa yun.
Ay, ang tagal. Ay, bakit ang tagal?
Nakukuha agad yun?
Oo.
Ay! Eh siya, hindi naman sinabi ni Dr. Wewe na tagal yan siya mga tagal sa Manila. Hindi sinasabi.
Mabilis dito.
Anuhan mo kami dyan?
Ano mo muna, basahin mo muna yung sagot ng doktor. Pinorward ko na sa iyo. Ito ita-type ko. So, NELS dataset pa rin tayo, ano? Ita-type ko sa, itong problem natin sa, from the same, do ano ba yan? Wala ang NELS dataset. Ay, mali.
Daddy, 100 pa rin yung Spanish service ni Angel. Oo daw.
Andiyan na. Yan ang gagawin. Okay. Sige, gawin yan. Mag-upload lang ako ng isa pang file. So ano ang variable of interest dito dyan, Cedrix? Among college-bound students who are always at grade level, those students who take advanced math in 8th grade have different expectations for future income than students who do not. Go to the data file. Anong variable dyan ang ginamit? Nakita niyo screen ko? Nasa data file ako. So tumingin dun sa mga variables. Kung nasa variable view tayo, tingnan ninyong mabuti ang inyong mga rows. Alin ang ating variable of interest?
Number 32 po, expected income.
32 32. Expected income. Ang label niya, nakita niyo yan? Expected income at age 30.
Opo.
Yun. Row number 32. Yun ang ating variable of interest. Okay? So, ang pinag-uusapan natin ngayon dito ay gusto nating malaman kung yung average expected income at age 30 ay parehas ba para doon sa mga sa grouping variable natin ay yung estudyanteng who took advanced math in 8th grade at students who did not take advanced math. Yun ang magiging grouping variable natin. Naintindihan? So, if you go to analyze, compare means independent samples t-test. So, ang ating pinag-uusapan ay expected income, exping. Okay, expected income at age 30. Ang grouping variable natin ay yung advanced math. Saan yun? Advanced ano ang grouping variable natin?
Advanced math po yung pangalawa.
Pangalawa.
Nasa taas,
Nasa
sir.
taas, sir. Nasa taas po.
Ito. Yan ang ating grouping variable. Ano ang value? Anong ginamit na advanced math? Ang values ay
0, 1.
0 at 1 pa rin. No, yung hindi kumuha ng math. Yes, yung kumuha. Ayan, oh. Kaya, ang ating defined variables, 0 at 1 pa rin. Click OK. Tapos, ayan na ang output natin. Right. Makikita nyo sa unang table ng output, there are 241 students, okay, who did not have advanced math in 8th grade, 241. Those without, those who took advanced math, 209. Ang average expected income at age 30 for those who did not have advanced math taken in 8th grade is 51,696. Okay? At yung those who take is 52,191.39. Numerically, those who took advanced math in high school or in 8th grade have higher expected income at age 30. Okay? Now, looking at your independent sample t-test, ang Leven's test for equality of variance, 0.592 ang F, ang p-value 0.442 since p p-value is 0.442 is greater than alpha, we accept the null that the variances are equal. Okay, so the t-value should be negative 0.089 with a p-value of 0.929. What does that mean? Ano ibig sabihin nun? Ang p-value ay 0.929. That's greater than alpha of 0.05. What does that mean?
Accept the null hypothesis.
Correct. Accept the null at alpha of 0.05 because the p-value is greater. Accept. And conclude that. Anong conclusion natin? The data did not provide sufficient evidence to indicate that among college-bound students who are always at grade level, students who take advanced math in grade have different expectations for future income than students who do not. In fact, they have just equal expectation. Their expectations are the same. Their expected income, whether they took advanced math or not, are the same. They have the same expected income at age 30. I repeat, the data did not provide sufficient evidence to indicate that among college-bound students who are always at grade level, students who took advanced math in the 8th grade have different expectations for future income than students who did not. In other words, students, there is no difference in the expected income both for those who took advanced math and for those who did not. Okay?
Yes po.
Last. 9:46 na pala. Hindi na. Tama na yun. Dami-dami ng examples. Pag hindi nyo pa naintindihan, ewan ko sa inyo. Right. May bagong upload ako dyan. Paki-check. Ang title ng bagong upload ay Inferences. It's a new, Inferences about the mean. Paki-download and open it. Nakita nyo?
Opo, sir.
Okay. Right. So, pag na-open nyo na, punta doon sa slide number, yung mga the first slides, the first up to, tingnan ko kung hanggang saan yung na-discuss ko na dyan. One sample, independent, two sample designs, tapos na yan. Gusto ko ay buksan ninyo yung slide number 34. Slide number 34. Ito yung last inference. Last test of hypothesis. Ito yung tinatawag nating paired sample t-test. Kailan yung paired? Is everybody there?
Opo, sir.
Slide number 34. Okay? So, basahin muna natin. By the way, PESW is the same as SPSS. Predicted Analytical Software. That's the general term for any statistical software that can do some data analysis, PSW. So the paired sample t-test capitalizes on the dependent structure of the data by basing its calculation on the different scores computed for each matched pair. Dependent. So ito ang pagkakaiba nito sa kanina. Yung kaninang ginawa natin ay test of hypothesis independent. Ibig sabihin, itong group na ito, is independent of the other group. Dito, dependent. Like for example, kunwari, gusto nating malaman yung math achievement score ba ng 12th grade ng isang estudyante ay different from the math achievement niya sa 8th grade. Naintindihan niyo? Yung math achievement score ba ng estudyante in the 8th grade ay different from his math achievement in the 12th grade? Did you understand that? Ibig sabihin lang ay, we are talking of the same student. Ang pinag-uusapan natin ay parehong estudyante, except that yung magkaiba yung kanilang achievement scores. Yung isa, nung 8th grade siya, yung pangalawa, yung 12th grade na siya. Nagbago ba ang kanyang math achievement score nung 8th grade from the 8th grade to the 12th grade? So yan ay tinatawag nating dependent samples. Okay? So, ang formula niyan ay wala. Hindi pala nakalagay dito ang formula. Anyway, so paano siya ginagawa? Alright? So dito, let's look at the NELS dataset. Wag yung nandoon kasi ibang dataset yan. Do ito. Paired. Here. So, type ko siya sa chat. Yan, andyan na yung problem. So, kopyahin muna yan. Nakopya na?
Yes po, sir.
Right, kung nakopya na, paano gawin yan sa SPSS? Ganito. Okay? So, sabay-sabay tayo. So, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito ay yung bang science achievement on average ng estudyante from the 8th grade ay nagbago. Okay? Change from the 8 to the 12. So, nagbago ba? Pag sinabing nagbago, not equal. Okay? Hindi equal. Either tumaas or bumaba. Either. So, but since we did not see any directional word doon, kaya tutil dito. So, kung punta tayo doon sa ating data set, so, let's do the analyze, compare. Nakita niyo yung paired samples. Ito to. Paired sample t-test. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Ayan.
Opo.
Ayan yung kanya. So, pair. Ibig sabihin doon, alin ang variable 1 natin? Yung science sa 8th grade. Nasaan yung science? Ito. Science. Ito ba yun? Hindi ko alam kung ito. Ay, hindi. Science. Nasa taas. Pinakataas sa taas. Kasi tatlo yun eh. Ano? Yun ang ilalagay dito sa unang variable. Sa pangalawang variable, yung huling-huli na science. Tama, i-check natin kung tama ha. Paano na-check? I-click nyo dito. Lalabas dapat yung 8th grade at saka 12th grade. Tama ba? Nakuha nyo? Science, 8th grade at 12th grade. And then, click OK. Oh, mali. 10th grade ang naipasok ko. Ulit. Analyze. So, ang mali ay ito. Dapat yan ay ibalik doon. Dapat ay ito. Oh, bakit 10th uli yun? Bastos ka. Alin ba ang science ng 12th grade? Ito. Ayan. Okay na? Tama ba yung ipasok nyo? Hello?
Opo.
Ayan, nakalagay. Oh. Ang science achievement grade ng 8th grade, ang kanyang average ay 55.67. Alright? Ang 12th grade ay 55.77. Ang kanyang N ay 497. Ibig sabihin, 3 bata ang walang science achievement scores. Okay? So, yung last table ang tingnan natin. Science achievement in 8th grade and science achievement in 12th grade. Ang mean nila ay negative 1.0, ang standard deviation. Ang t-test ay, ang t-value ay negative 0.326. Nasa third column from the last. Third from the last column.
Yes.
At ang p-value niya ay 0.745. 0.745. So, ang null hypothesis natin dito, kagaya din kung paano natin yung 1, ganito siya. So, if I were to write the null hypothesis that mu 8, mu 12. Ganito siya sinulat. Instead of mu 1, mu 2, para madaling ma-distinguish, para hindi na ako magdi-define, I can write it like this way. Pwede kong isulat ng ganyan, or mu 1, mu 2, but when you say mu 1, mu 2, i-define nyo what is mu 1, what is mu 2. But if I say like this, I know already that the average science achievement score in the 8th grade is equal to the science achievement score in the 12th grade. And not equal yung ano. So, ang t-value natin, pag kinuha natin yung t-value, negative 0.326, ang kanyang p-value equals 0.745, which is greater than 0.05. So, ano ang conclusion? Accept HO at alpha equals 0.05. Do not reject. And, ay mali. Decision pala yun. Ang conclusion natin ay the data did not provide sufficient evidence to indicate that among blah blah blah, that among the population of college-bound students who have always been at grade level, the level of science achievement on average changed from 8th to 12th grade. In other words, the science achievement scores did not change. They are the same. So, ganito siya. Okay na? Okay na? All right? Kung okay na, pakigawa ito. Okay na? Ang sagot?
Reject. Null hypothesis po.
So, ang ating variable of interest dito ay self-concept in 8th grade at saka self-concept in 10th grade. So, in 8th grade, yung isa ay 10th grade. Yan. So, ang p-value ay, ang t ay negative 5.692. Ang p-value ay less than 0.0005. That is less than 0.05. So, reject the null at an alpha of 0.05 and conclude that the data provided sufficient evidence to indicate a difference in the self-concept from 8th to 12th grade to 10th grade. The data provided sufficient evidence to indicate that there is a difference that among college-bound students who are always at grade level, self-concept differs in 8th grade and 10th grade. Okay?
Okay po.
Nagkaintindihan ba tayo? No, isa pa. Para among college-bound students who are always at grade level as social studies course
Hindi, piniling na isang ko sa anak ko. Ito, isa ko mali.
Madami pa yatang ulam eh. Luto ka ng luto pa dyan eh. Ubusin mo muna yung ulam dyan. Ano? Wala nang pamalingki eh. Last na yan. Wala nang natapos na? Ha?
Opo, sir.
Sir.
Tingnan natin. Anong nangyari? Compare. Paired. So, ito ang pinag-usapan natin dito ay ano yan? Social studies, ano? Achievement score, social studies, achievement score in the 10th and in the 12th. No difference. Tama?
Apo.
Tama po.
So the data did not provide sufficient evidence to indicate a difference in the social studies achievement from the 10th grade to the 12th grade because the p-value is 0.749, which is greater than 0.05. The t statistic is 0.321. Okay, you should have the same results. Okay na? So any
Yes,
question?
sir.
Wala
Tanong, may tanong ba? Kasi kung wala ng tanong, i-upload ko na yung problem set number 3. Rain, pakuha naman ng ano.
ng ano po.
Screenshot ng attendance.
Sige po. Ngayon na po.
Oo.
Wait lang. Lahat daw mag-open cam. Ayusin ko lang. Kasi large. Paki-open po yung cam.
Yan mo kung ayaw nila, di sila kasama.
Okay.
Okay na?
Wala pa sir. Ito pala. 1, 2, 3. Ayan. Okay na sir.
Okay. Any one of you may contact kay Ruel? Di ba si Ruel ang inyong presidente? Narinig nyo? Wala. Walang dinig. Ang tanong ko, si Ruel ba ang presidente ni Rain ninyo?
Opo, sir.
Sino sa inyo ang mayroong contact number ni Ruel? Telephone. Kasi mukhang hindi siya Ruel. Teka. Hindi rin. Wala, hindi siya nag-reply dito sa ano eh. Pero naka-online siya. Right. So, it's almost time. May klase ba kayo after this? May klase pa kayo?
Meron po.
So, i-upload, sa ano ko na lang i-upload yung problem set number 3 sa either sa Sabado or sa Linggo para magawa niyo yun bago mag-Wednesday. Pwede rin sa Lunes. Okay? So, pag-aralan yung mga hindi nasagot si Ruel. Kung mayroong mayroon kayong balita kay Ruel, pakisabi, kailangan kontakin niya ako. So, kunti na lang naman, 11 minutes na lang, walang tayong i-discuss unless you have question. So, balikan niyo yung mga pinagagawa natin and so on. Tapos, para magawa niyo yung susunod na activity or problem set number 3. Ganito ha, mag-open uli ako mag-create ako ng, ano ba yan? Mag-create ako uli dito ng, sa inyong, hindi ko siya makita. So magki-create ako ng ang tawag dito ng folder. Dito nyo ilalagay ang inyong problem set number 3, yung magiging susunod na activity. Yan, nag-create na ako. Nakalagay problem set number 3. Doon nyo ipapasok later on yung inyong okay, ang inyong magiging susunod na activity. Okay na? So, kung wala nang tanong, you can leave now. See you next week.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.